What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and if you guys do not recognize who I am going to be interviewing, I don't know what to tell you. Josh, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay, Lucas. I mean, considering what we just watched on Monday Night Football, I'm doing all right. Not the best, but it could be worse. It could be the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, man, holy smokes. I do want to mention Josh is from Show Me Football. But yeah, man, Baltimore Ravens fans right now are going through it. I've kind of definitely consulted with a few, if that makes sense, especially as Chiefs are kind of struggling. I've engaged with a few where we're just like, man, it sucks to be where we're at. But I think they're obviously in a much more worse position for sure.
Yeah. Well, can I just say real quick, not to start the video off on a completely dark, negative note, but I think it's kind of interesting because I think, if that game goes the other way against the Ravens, the Chiefs could be in the exact same spot right now. I mean, they're far off from being in that situation.
For sure. I mean, that's the crazy thing is, and one thing I was seeing today was, obviously last year, how many games we were able to pull out by like the last drive or just a few points, and like it translated into a very successful record. I mean, we're kind of seeing the opposite a little bit this year, especially with that game last night. I mean, there's a lot of things that could have went the Chiefs' way, and it could have been a lot worse for the Jaguars, and then it vice versa. It could have been the exact same for the Jags. I mean, if Lawrence doesn't get that ball knocked out at the 1 yard line, what does that really translate to the game? You know what I mean? So there was a lot of things that could have happened that really swayed both ways, and yeah, it's crazy. So that's perfect. Let's jump into this. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs are not in a good state right now. And if you ask most fans within Kansas City, they're pretty upset, rightfully so. It's understandable. So my question to you right out the gate, Josh, is going to be, if you had to really identify the worst area, or I guess not necessarily the worst, but like the area that just needs to truly improve on this team to really just kind of maybe start riding the ship the way it should be, what area are you going to target, I guess, specifically position-wise or just a group? What are you going to look at?
I'm going to give you an interesting answer, and then I'm going to give you like an actual answer, because I think the real answer, and why I'm splitting it into two, is I don't even know if it's a specific area of this team, but it's the execution. It's the execution level of this team right now. I mean, if the Chiefs can execute that interception that Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquill collectively dropped, or if Patrick Mahomes doesn't throw that interception in the red zone, and I know people are going to say, hey, it was a great play by the linebacker. Definitely was, but Mahomes, you're the best player, the best quarterback in the league. Cannot happen. Cannot have it in that spot. It's really just the execution level for this team right now, man. The penalties. I mean, the Chiefs got penalized last night, the most they have since like 2 or 3 years ago. So that was bad. But if you want a specific position group out of me, I got to go with the defensive line, man. Right. I mean, if the Chiefs continue to not be able to get pressure on the opposing team's quarterback, more of these games are going to start to go like this, because Trevor Lawrence had all day back there.
Man, it's like we communicated before this video started. I'm actually prepping a video around that exact subject. But man, it's incredible to really kind of discuss, because that truly is. We saw it last night firsthand with Trevor Lawrence. And I think he really started to kind of understand the Kansas City Chiefs defense in real time. Obviously, they watch game film and they're able to see how teams kind of react to the similar style quarterbacks. So they know how to kind of game plan, obviously. But I think you could see it in real time with Trevor Lawrence on the style of pass rush that the Kansas City Chiefs provide. And so he adapted pretty quickly, because we've talked about this multiple times. When your defensive ends kind of bull rush and are fanned out 2 to 3, up to 5 yards often, and then they're trying to really kind of encase that QB pocket. In his case, we weren't spying him because he's not that mobile quarterback like a Lamar Jackson, even though we know he can run, but we really didn't treat it the same way. And he realized, okay, if I just step up and go, then that is going to really give me the opportunity to just run free. And what happens, happens. And we saw that multiple times. And I'm not trying to get too far ahead, but that's what really truly scares me playing the Buffalo Bills. That's what Josh Allen is very good at, is that pocket's enclosing on him. He'll step up, and then we know that guy is an absolute bulldozer. He's just going to run. And again, I don't want to get too far ahead, but man, I really think that's a huge point. And I want to go back to your point about execution. I think that's the most valid thing. And when you really kind of break this game down, similar to how we all did in videos, you really kind of look at that, and that is truly the problem. I wouldn't say it's a personnel issue, although there are some question marks in some areas, and maybe some who's playing over who in some areas. But at the end of the day, I think what you said is a complete valid statement. The fact that we had 13 penalties for 108, 109 yards. And then on top of that, it's the mental mistakes. It's the kicking it out of bounds with a minute 45 left to give them the 40-yard line. It's the pass interference in the end zone or the 3rd and 9, and it's like you're going to get them off the field. And you just, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, you got to give the man credit. He perfectly placed that ball, but to have 2 defenders back there and to just kind of not really impact the play, that's just execution. That's just mental mistakes. Very valid points, man. I 100% agree. Now, I kind of want to flip it to a positive because I do think that there's a lot of positivity on this team, even though the record right now does not indicate that, and it could have easily flipped last night, and we could be completely having a different conversation. But I think from a positive standpoint, really, there are a lot of positives. If you had to pick one positive, and again, we can say Patrick Mahomes all day because the dude is literally flat out just playing it out of his mind. And one of the plays that I highlighted the most was last night when he was just literally engulfed by this Jacksonville defense. And out of nowhere, he literally just pops out and decides to run for the first down. It was one of the most incredible plays I've seen from him. I mean, there's a ton of them. I mean, there's a slew of them. But one positive, I guess, would you identify from this Kansas City Chiefs team?
Man, there was quite a few of them on offense, and that's why it's such a frustrating loss to talk about because, like I was saying earlier, the results just kind of overshadow what I thought would have been a positive step forward for the Kansas City Chiefs, particularly on offense. I guess if I have to go with one, probably the running game. I mean, the Chiefs got an efficient performance out of their running backs, Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco. Now, I'd have to check the stats, but I think Patrick Mahomes still ended up as the leading rusher for the team in this game, which you hate to see that happen again, because I think that's like the 4th time now this season that not a running back led the Chiefs in rushing. But I think this game was more so because they just didn't give those guys enough carries, but they were successful when they got touches, Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. And then Brashard Smith, we're continuing to see more and more of him in this offense, and I really like that. I think he provides some explosiveness, but yeah, the running game showed signs of life.
I'm really glad you brought that up because I do think that is a positive. We're seeing some trends in a positive direction. That leads me to my question. In that red zone situation where Mahomes obviously threw that pick, do you, and I really want to ask you this question because obviously, and again, I want to ask Darcy this too when he comes on, but do you think that Andy Reid is starting to be afraid of running the football in those situations? Because to me, that situation, we ended up seeing it translate later in the game where Kareem Hunt ended up rushing in for 2 touchdowns. Do you think at some point he's kind of shying? I mean, naturally he kind of shies away from the run anyways because that's his offense. He's a West Coast guy. But at times, it just is confusing to me why we don't at least, in that scenario even, and again, we're Monday morning piggybacking, in this case, Tuesday morning piggybacking, but like the fact that we didn't even try to run in that situation kind of confuses me. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I still think there's a lack of trust with the running backs in that situation. And I'm kind of glad you followed up with that because although the running backs were more efficient yesterday's game, I don't think the Chiefs should look at yesterday's game and say, now we don't need to trade for running back. I still think they should bring someone in. I think, if there's one trade that you can make to improve this team, it's for a running back, especially because I think there's a lot of guys that are going to be available here in the next couple weeks. But yeah, I just think it's a lack of trust, which is also kind of weird because I thought Kareem Hunt looked pretty good in the red zone. He got 2 touchdowns last night, both in the red zone. So I don't know, man. It's Andy, and Andy's weird sometimes, and unfortunately, you just kind of have to come to accept that.
And it's kind of weird because, we were often critical of Andy in these situations where he would get kind of cute. We'd run trick plays. I don't really think we've seen any type of trickery whatsoever out of this offense this year. I mean, I wouldn't consider an end around to Xavier Worthy a trick play. A market that never sleeps. One name rises above the rest. Lisa Miller from Dan Lynch Real Estate. Trusted by hundreds and recognized across the Midwest. She delivers results when it matters the most. With over 13 years of experience and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you are a first-time homebuyer, looking to upsize, or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait, your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000 or visit lisamillersaleskc.com. Let Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next exciting chapter. And let her know the beat of KC, Lucas Murphy, sent you her way. I mean, we've seen some pretty significant trick plays conducted inside the red zone. We haven't seen that shovel pass to Travis Kelce yet. We haven't seen, some of these wild ideas that we used to see with Eric Bieniemy. And so I'm really kind of curious on your thoughts on that. Do you think, again, it's just a conservative play calling type of thing? Or really, I guess, what is going on with this? Because I got scrutinized in my comment section because I was talking about play calling. Do what?
Happens to the best.
For sure. And I was kind of scrutinizing the play calling within the red zone. And I really think at times we're just super conservative. And again, we tend to lean up really heavy on the pass game in the red zone. And I'm just curious your thoughts on kind of not really getting cute when we were kind of critical of him in some situations. But it's almost like you kind of need some of that this year.
Yeah, situationally, Andy Reid just has not been great. And that's been going on for a few years now. I mean, there was a 4th and 2 earlier in that Jaguars game where I think 90% of Chiefs fans were saying, go for it, Andy.
Right.
And he just pulls away, where it feels like most coaches these days are going for that. And you just got to trust your Hall of Fame quarterback. But I think going back to the execution, which we were talking about earlier, I think if you're Andy Reid, it's easier to go into your shell when it comes to calling trick plays and that sort of thing, when your team can't even execute a simple offense for the most part. I think that's a big factor.
Well, and I think too, like, they're not fully weaponized. And what I mean by that is obviously Rashee Rice is still suspended. Xavier Worthy, granted, is playing, but he's dealing with injuries. I mean, the shoulder is still a question mark. At any time that thing could cause issues, but he's now dealing with that ankle. They obviously put him questionable in this game. We see him exit the game last night due to that ankle. He comes back in, but is he 100% no? And so I still think you're kind of limited on his capabilities in some facets, even though it doesn't appear so. And I think that dude's an absolute dog. But I think you're seeing some limited capacities with that. So I do think at times he's like, we got to stay conservative because of the types of players we have filling those positions. It's just kind of, it's just interesting for sure. I wanted to get your thoughts too before we kind of transition a little bit on, and I can't remember the down, but that quick kind of slant kind of into Travis Kelce on Travis Hunter. What are your thoughts on that play?
Are you talking about the one that got batted down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the timing was just off, which is kind of something that we've seen a lot recently with Mahomes and Kelce, because even though I think it was good coverage by Travis Hunter, I also think Kelce could have caught that. Like, he wasn't necessarily draped and he was able to get a hand on it, if I remember correctly, but it seemed like the throw wasn't quite in the spot where he wanted it, and the timing is just off there. And I think that's just, unfortunately, Father Time catching up to Travis Kelce, because I think, again, we've seen this the past couple years where Mahomes and Kelce, these plays that they usually hit, they're not doing it anymore. It's in years past, Mahomes and Kelce were like, telepathically just, on the same page all the time. And I think Mahomes is still getting used to the fact that Kelce's not quite that quick anymore. You can't put that ball there.
For sure.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, and so I'm going to kind of ask you a question about Travis Kelce here in a little bit, but my next question to you is, and I'm really kind of interested because we saw Noah Gray last year really kind of had like an outbreaking, I guess you could say, hey, look, I signed a contract and, I'm a contributor of this offense. He has done absolutely nothing, and I don't think that that's necessarily his fault. Noah Gray obviously is just nowhere to be found. And then Jalen Royals, we drafted this guy. We expected a lot out of him. We actually saw a glimpse of him last night, but that was about all it was a glimpse.
He ran the same motion, I think, every single play he was in.
Right. And so my question to you is really just in your thoughts, why aren't these guys able to contribute within this offense? What is hindering them from getting on the field or producing or doing anything? Is it a trust thing with Mahomes? Is it just not they don't fit into what we're trying to run at this time? Is it because of the injuries? Like I'm just curious why these guys aren't able to contribute in this offense.
Well, as far as Noah Gray goes, because I think his case is a little bit more interesting, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he was dealing with some type of injury that we don't know about because he just looks slower. And there was a play in the Ravens game, I don't know if you remember, but he caught a ball from Mahomes, a little dump off, and the first down was right in front of him, and he got chased down like from the side. And it's like, what? How do you not get the first down there? Like, I don't remember Noah Gray being that unathletic. I don't know what's going on with him. He just looks slower to me. So I think that's just an Andy Reid thing. Like we know how Andy Reid is with rookie wide receivers, and he's been dealing with that knee injury. So I guess he's considered to be very behind when it comes to the playbook and that sort of thing. But hey, those motion snaps he got last night, that's something that he wasn't getting before. So maybe hopefully we see him soon. Now, one that you didn't mention that I'd really like to bring up, and I'll kind of throw it back to you, is Robert Tonyan looked absolutely fantastic in preseason. We've just seen nothing from him. I don't even know if he's been targeted yet this year. And I do understand that sometimes the camp darlings don't always translate to the regular season, but Tyquan Thornton performed very similarly to Robert Tonyan in the preseason, and it has translated to the regular season. And I just think Robert Tonyan did a lot to earn his roster spot, but also playing time with this Chiefs team. And it's like, man, if he's not going to do anything, then make him inactive and try Jared Wiley instead or something, because it just doesn't make any sense to me.
There's actually something I looked at today and I was talking to some good friends about is Tonyan hasn't caught a ball in the regular season, and Wiley obviously has been inactive every game. So that was kind of my next question to lead into the Travis Kelce thing. I'm not ready to say he's done. I'm just not. I think that's just the homer in me that's a Travis Kelce fan. I know everything that he's contributed to Kansas City from not only on the field, but off the field. Obviously, he's just a staple. He's a Hall of Famer. But at the same time, do you think that he's had communication before the season started of potentially saying this is my last season and I'm going to give it everything I got? So they're really trying to drain the juice out of Travis Kelce.
Yeah, because I think, the couple times you've seen Andy Reid and Travis Kelce kind of bang heads on the sidelines, I think most of that has been over the fact that Travis Kelce was taken out of the game and he's saying, no, I want to stay in. And then something bad happens and Kelsey's like, I should have been in right there.
Yeah.
And I do understand that just the competitor in Travis Kelce, he wants to be out there, but you got to save him for the most important parts of the season. And I think that's what the Chiefs are trying to do, which is also why you need to see more out of your backup tight ends, because you don't want Travis Kelce to have to be out there. But you're also, and I think ideally, Lucas, in an ideal world, the Chiefs are not 2-3 and they can afford to do that. But I think the Chiefs are also saying to themselves, okay, like this season could get real scary if like Travis Kelce isn't out there. So it's a very challenging situation, but, I do think if there's a positive to this, getting Rashee Rice back hopefully here soon and everyone else staying healthy will be the key, because against the Baltimore Ravens, when Tyquan Thornton, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, all those guys were making plays, Hollywood Brown, you saw Travis Kelce, what he can be in more of a reserve role where he isn't the number one option in the offense, where he's still effective, but he's not playing every single snap and he's not getting looks or targets every single snap. He was much more effective, and he's just there to catch a couple first down balls, move the chains. He's a mismatch for, that third cornerback out there or that slow linebacker. And that's the role we'd all love to see Travis Kelce in. But for so many years, it's just like things keep going wrong, and Travis Kelce just ends up playing more than he has to.
For sure. No, and I think all this kind of culminates into really kind of my final question. And I think it's a well-deserved question for this football team. And it's one thing that I really have kind of been stewing on is really the motivation. And I think at the end of the day, a team that has done what the Kansas City Chiefs have done consistently year in and year out, getting to the AFC Championship, to the Super Bowl, I mean, that's taxing. That's taxing on a lot of guys who have been on this roster consistently. I find it, as a professional athlete who gets paid millions of dollars, to me, that's a motivation in itself. To show up. It is a job, and I get everybody has a normal job, and at times your job can get tedious and you're like, I'm done with this. So that really kind of leads to my question. And I'm not targeting Chris Jones in that final play last night because I think that's an easy target, but that kind of helps kind of support my case in this question is, do you think this team's just exhausted and they're just lacking motivation in some areas? I feel like Patrick Mahomes will always have that motivation. He's just ingrained to have that in him. Like the fight is never going to leave him. Do you think some of these other guys are just lacking the motivation? And then when they get challenged, it's like they are at the point where it's just like, man, we've done this so much. Like I'm not necessarily done, but like it's just going in one ear and out the other. And I think in some cases we're seeing that with Chris, and it could be said for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, that's a really good question. The way I see it, because I think the most concerning part about the Chiefs being 2-3 to this point, Lucas, because I said this last night in my little post-game breakdown I did, but I said if I told you before the season that the Chiefs started 2-3, you guys would be like, you're crazy. And furthermore, you'd be unhappy and you'd call that unacceptable because it is unacceptable for this team with the standard that they hold themselves to. But the most concerning part about them being 2-3 is that this was supposed to be the revenge tour. This was supposed to be we got our teeth kicked in the Super Bowl. We're going to come out fired up. We're pissed off. And we're going to make a statement against everyone. And they haven't done that. And I think part of it is because the Chiefs just didn't properly address the weaknesses from last year that ultimately led to them losing the Super Bowl. Now, what does this have to do with the question you asked? Well, when you see Chris Jones tired out there on the field, when you see Mahomes tired out there on the field, when you see Travis Kelce tired out there on the field, it's because they're all looking back at Brett Veach and saying, we can't do this ourselves. Like, Mahomes is probably thinking, could we have gotten a running back so I'm not the leading rusher in 4 out of 5 games so far? Chris Jones, not excusing the effort on the final play, but if there is one thing to say about that, it's that Chris Jones was double-teamed last night more than he had been in any other game this year because no one else on the line is helping. He's the one doing everything. I mean, when you have no one else that's a threat on the defensive line, it's going to be hard for Chris Jones to be out there for every single snap, giving 100%. Now, granted, again, I'm not excusing the effort. He makes too much money to not give effort with the game on the line in that scenario. But like, I kind of understand it. Travis Kelce, like, it wasn't supposed to be this way with him. He's not supposed to be playing this many snaps, but the Chiefs just have not addressed the weaknesses properly. And that's why you're seeing these guys exhausted already.
For sure. No, and I think too, like I would figure this team the way it's constructed, and I'm not saying from the X's and O's, I'm talking within the locker room, the mentality, the kind of savagery that this team has. You would think like being smacked in the mouth the way they were against really the Los Angeles Chargers, an AFC West opponent. Then you turn around and the Eagles are like coming into your house, and granted that game was a lot closer, and a lot of people going into it kind of were 50-50, but they really kind of just smacked you in the mouth. After they just did it in the Super Bowl, you would think like the internal motivation would be there just because of that. Like you have the media, the big time media that are just dogging you right now. Your fan base in some aspects are kind of turning on you in a way, trying to provide you some motivation. You would think like those guys that are just ingrained with that DNA to like flip that switch would then be able to do that. And it's just like, man, where's that at? And I just kind of question that a little bit. And I don't want to question anybody's integrity. That's not really what this is about. It's the fact that, like, I think, like you said, and I mean, you nailed it, is they're just tired, man. They're tired. And like, there's just no support. I mean, one of the things that I kind of sent to you guys today is Derek Notty's like dead last as the D tackle in the NFL. You went out and traded back for him, and he's dead last when you have Mike Pennell, who was like 70th or 80th or something. And not that that's that much better, but it is better.
Rosterable player, whereas Derek
Notty. Right. And so I think too, there's a lot of kind of questioning around that. And obviously there's a lot more that we could talk about. I don't want to make this video super, super long, but I really think that this kind of contributes to what we're thinking. And we try to keep it positive for sure, because that's kind of my demeanor anyways. I try to keep a positive outlook. And I really think too, like this could potentially spike them a little bit of motivation coming back to Arrowhead. That fan base naturally energizes. I don't care what anybody says. The fact that this crowd is just the way it is, I think we will have a good football game against the Lions. And I'm sure we'll do another video at some point to kind of recap and go over, or not really a recap, but a pre-game to the Lions. I appreciate everybody checking out this video. I appreciate all the support. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. Let me know if there's a lack of motivation and really what you guys think needs to happen in order for this team to just kind of start getting in the right direction. Appreciate all the support I do. Josh, well, you know how we end every video. Where can the people find you?
You can find me here on YouTube. The channel name is Show Me Football. Check out my work on showmefootball.com. And then, of course, follow the Twitter at ShowMeFB.
For sure. And I'll make sure everything's down in the comments section so you guys can find out where Josh is at. He's killing it over there at Show Me Football. I end every video the exact same way. Make sure you guys have a good day.